Um, these meetings or gatherings or this communication or what's being suggested here is very simple, very ordinary, very natural, totally uncomplicated. Doesn't require any understanding or doesn't require any preparation, doesn't require any getting to, it doesn't see you, doesn't see anything really. It's a simple and ordinary suggestion that this is it. This is what's sought after. This is the mystery. This is the miracle. The ordinary suddenness of inescapably hearing a voice. It's not what's been said. It's this full aliveness as whatever is, as the thoughts, the sounds, the feelings, the sensations in the body, the heart beating, the hands on the lap, this bespeckled head on a screen with earphones, this total ordinariness, not a better ordinariness, just this exactly as it appears to be. And it's sort of amazing that there is a meeting like this, really, because there's nothing being prescribed or described or offered on my website. I'm going to change the place where I've got my telephone number to call it the no help line, because there's no help on offer. And so it's amazing there's a meeting, and yet this shared phenomenality, this sort of incredulousness, this just what is, that it's not talked about all the time everywhere, is how it is anyway. But so it's sort of lovely that there is a gathering like this. And I suppose the radical suggestion, the radical part that is being suggested is that you don't have a life, that there isn't you and life, that there isn't you and what is, that there isn't you and those feelings and those thoughts, that there's just life, just thoughts, just what is, just what's appearing, however that is. And that isn't a place to get to. However, it seems like what is can feel like a sort of a striving. What is can feel like there's something missing. What is can feel like there's something not quite right that I have to get to the bottom of, that I have to understand, that I have to achieve in order for this to be more clear, whatever. The list is sort of long. And so maybe that's the premise really for this gathering, that there is an opportunity to chew the cud, say whatever is there to be said, and if there's a question or there's something that wants to be said, then it's there to be said. So just, unmute yourself and ask it, or if you want to just make a comment. This is an open communication. It's an open yeah, anything can be said, so say whatever. And let's see what happens.
Hey, Frank.
Hiya.
This is all energy, just energy happening, yeah. Can that energy be interfered with? I'm thinking of somebody who may have cancer, say, right? And there's an intervention. So that energy which allowed cancer to happen is being interfered with from outside, if you like. Is that okay? Is that a fair? I mean, it appears that there is an energy and there's nothing else but energy, but it does appear to be interfered with, or can be interfered with.
There isn't a thing apart called energy. So that's energy wondering, appearing as wondering, can energy be interfered with? So there's only everything then. So there isn't anything apart that can interfere with anything. And so forget energy then. All there is whatever is happening. Cancer, whatever. There isn't a way to sort of kind of fathom this then, as it's not like then you suddenly it's energy. It's over there's energy and over there is whatever. This is appearing now. This is saying, this is talking about energy. This is whatever. So you can't get closer or further away. You can't talk about what is, but appearing to talk would be what is. So you can't encapsulate this or understand this or get it in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So energy is as good as word as any, but you can call it potato cakes. It's all potato cakes. Energy is just a nice, neutral sort of word.
Yeah. And when the so-called me falls away, there's no indication to the individual that has happened or could happen.
You see, there isn't a me.
Yeah. Okay.
So amazingly, everything that is thought about, felt, worried about, that question that was asked there, as well as the pumping of the heart, the breathing, the hand at the face, none of that requires me. There isn't a me in there. So good old me then won't fall away.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't a me in there who said, already. So then how will anything fall away then?
I accept that.
All right. Yeah.
I accept that totally.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, you hear so often in these discussions that so the ego, suddenly something falls away. But the reality is that nothing falls away.
Nothing falls away.
And if nothing falls away, how will the character ever? I know what your answer to this is going to be. Well, the character isn't going to understand because there's no understanding.
Do you? I don't know what the answer is going to be. Sorry, go on, yeah. Go on. So what were you
Yeah.
going to say?
Yeah, but what I was going to say is that if like the only thing that gets me is that there seems to be a change takes place somewhere in the brain or somewhere which causes the character Frank or whoever to know, although I know you don't know, um, to approach life in general in a different way. I mean, you as a person must
So
be
I
looking.
don't approach life in a different way. I don't approach life at all. So all there is what's happening. All there is then I don't know how to talk, but talking appears to happen. I don't know how to think. I don't know how to breathe. I don't know how to do a single. I don't know how to say anything.
But you're saying it.
So apparently I'm saying, though, I don't know how to say anything. And perhaps that's sort of, I don't know, maybe it's sort of the voice. This is trying to point to the unknowability of absolutely everything, that the unfathomableness of everything, that life is just happening. But there can be the feeling, it seems, that, well, hold on a second, I'm doing this now, or whatever. I don't know, it's different. But there isn't a fixed thing called a character, but there are sort of alive traits, you could say, alive happenings, but there isn't a kind of a fixed character. So there appears to be a name given to a body, and has different preferences, tastes, thoughts, feelings, just happening.
Yeah.
So no one recognizes this. It's all of the, since this high, it seems to be that the human being or whatever eats concepts about everything, constantly feeding on concepts about this is life, there is death, I am me and you are you, and then there's spirituality, religion, politics, there's whatever, and they're all information for me to feed upon. And after a while, all of that information gets a bit nauseating. And even then in the spiritual realm, which sort of offers a sweeter taste, that can become a little bit nauseating. And for the unfortunate few, it seems, stumbling upon a totally non-compromising, not purposefully non-compromising, by the way, it's not purposefully starving, but it offers nothing. And for it, and that is the attraction or the resonance or the whatever towards that sort of communication that is no one's, that belongs to no one, that has nothing to do with this or any other. It's just a communication appearing to happen that offers nothing. And in that offering of nothing, it seems to there's nothing in that for the person, nothing in it, and yet somehow appears to find itself at these meetings. And in a way, it's a beautiful, wonderful invitation to that it exposes that there's no control in any way, that there's no one in there doing anything, because here there's nothing offered at all, nothing. And yet obviously there can be then still imaginations that the self might fall away, and they're constantly dismantled here in these sorts of gatherings. It's constantly returned to, all there is what's happening, all there is this. And all the concepts, liberation, enlightenment, peace, bliss, death, life, me, you, everything are ripped asunder, really. And nothing is constantly presented. Nothing. Not a thing called nothing. Just this then.
Yeah.
So nobody recognizes this, but nobody then can seek, but seeking appears to happen.
Mhm. Would it be fair to say that that you don't seek?
Seeking,
Yeah. Or does seeking happen?
seeking is, well, it's not, it seems like it's, you know, seems like it's being pedantic by saying this, but seeking, I was never seeking, but seeking appeared to happen.
Okay.
I don't know how to seek. You don't know how to seek, but seeking seems to happen, and then seeking stops. So
Okay.
there isn't a, you see, there isn't a Bernard there now asking that question, but there's body and voice and saying and asking that about seeking.
Mhm. Yeah. My final point would be that I've come to the conclusion that no matter what happens, no matter what this hears, it will never satisfy. It will never satisfy the mind, if you like, the mind that's here. It will never do anything or can do anything to make this character any different from other than from what it actually is and is and is and is.
Well, I mean, okay, but like really, there isn't a mind that can be satisfied. There's just thoughts.
Okay.
And they're just looping, just looping vump thoughts, and then a thought about the mind will never be satisfied, and it's sort of another story then about that. Another story.
Yeah.
So like here, this sitting on a chair, talking, hand at the face, asking a question about this. That's just happening. That's just happening in the same way buds form on the trees outside and the grass grows.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Frank.
Hiya.
Is it in any way apparent to you why this is? Or does it remain? Yeah. So does it remain a mystery, or?
You could say everything is this mystery. Everything. So it's not like there's some parts that are knowable and other parts that are not knowable. The whole lot is mystery. Utterly unknowable. And in a way, that's the childlike sort of cluelessness. It's just all the eaten concepts and information.
So even the questioning sort of why there is something rather than nothing.
In a way, that's the mystery. Yeah, that's just happening.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's like the flower, and I'm just noticing the buds outside, but it's like the buds are just sprouting on the trees outside, and asking a question, why is there something rather than nothing? It's just happening in the same way. It's just, and there's a flimsy sort of story that can be told, but it's horribly flimsy, like, oh, well, I came up with that question, and it's sort of, it's a couple of paragraphs, but it's, and of course the story is that also. But yeah, so everything is this mystery, this response, that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, when this unraveling appears to happen, is it noticed by anybody?
You see, the best that can be said is that there's just immediately, inescapably, what's happening. Just this unfolding. And then within that, if there's a voice saying things about some of the character traits falling away, changes in behavior, if that's what's being described, then that is what's being described. But there isn't, a one size. That's what we love, like, is to find patterns and to be able to compare. So we can say, okay, well, that happened there. It seems like there was a description about the unraveling of the character. Maybe that will be happening to me because I noticed a few things. I don't know. I mean, that can be how it is. And there isn't a formula. And it's sort of that those few sentences expose or try to illuminate that everything is incomparable. So sitting on that chair, breathing and asking that question is incomparable and never to be repeated. And, there's thoughts of, well, I've been to meetings. I know what the meetings are about. I'm sure, look, I'd stay for a little bit if there's anything good. And if there's not, I'll fuck off. And yet it's the incomparableness is everything. So then this is incomparable. There isn't actually a meeting. There isn't a fixed meeting. There isn't anything. So it seems, that everything and anything is possible. And whatever then is described about caring less or caring more, it's this, there just isn't a formula for anything.
Yeah.
So already it's the case. Already there's no one in there. Already there is no self in there. But what might be in there is a movement of, I know there is, though. There definitely, it feels like there is. And if that's how it is, then that's how it is. But there was never anyone in there.
You could have fooled me.
That's the disappointment. You never had a life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is really, yeah. I suppose it does come back to the fact that, as you have said many times, there is no understanding of this. But there is some sort of a resonance. There's some sort of a draw. I mean, I couldn't see myself getting fed up and go away. Do you know what I mean? It's there's something about it that sticks all the time, and I wouldn't want to be running away from it.
Well, but that would also, though, be what is getting fucked off with this would be also what is. It's not like you can't run away from running away, because it would be what is. It would be this. So it doesn't matter. That's why it's free. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, why this communication, why it's free in the sense of there isn't anything asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still stunning that there's no one in there asking that question. No one in there doing the breathing. No one in there doing the thinking and the wondering. Imagine the whole lot like is happening anyway. And that's totally useless piece of information, but I suppose it just seems to be a bit of delight about saying it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like there's no one in there already, and so then it won't be known. It won't go around suddenly going, oh, well, I know now it's dropped away now, and I know that it's dropped away. What's dropped away exactly?
Yeah.
We're back in the complicated stories.
Sure.
Whereas this is the childlike. It's actual, in actuality, it's a mystery how there's this even talking about it when there's really nothing to say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
That's what it appears to be. All right. Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I just sit back and think about it. Then. Well, sorry, I'm not going to think about it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. How do you do thinking, Bernard?
Sorry, Frank.
How
What
do you do thinking?
When I think about it, the answer to that is I don't. It just happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Mad.
Yeah. Well, maybe you've got it, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, make sure you hold on tight now, because you might lose it.
Yeah.
Frank.
Oh yeah.
The thinking that happens not to Bernard or to Ulrich or to Frank, but it happens to this body. Would you say it happens to this body, or how related to when you say there is nothing happening at all? This is where I get out of the whole thing.
Well, nothing isn't a thing that can happen. So then the imagination of what nothing would be like happening is what's happening, and the feeling, and then not being able to kind of go, I don't really get that then. There's nothing happening. So without the story, this is nothing happening. And that's the story saying that. So it doesn't happen to a body. It's just seeking, or what's being described and felt as seeking is what's happening.
So an arising feeling is a rising feeling, but it's not happening.
Well,
This feeling.
There's an apparent feeling. That's what's being described. That's what is, yeah. Nothing as a feeling then.
And the happening is time. That
Well,
is
so
connected.
all there is, right, is asking about time and feelings and the body and this here.
Yes.
And then perhaps an attempt to, to box it off and understand it and make it knowable in some way, shape or form. That's happening. And the suggestion is that there's nobody doing that. That's what's been described and felt and wondered about.
Yes, in my feeling, there's not needed that there is anybody to, or otherwise I can imagine that things can happen, but I'm not needed as a person, as a construct, Ulrich. Yeah.
You're not needed or not needed. It's not even relevant. It's all there is just what there is, however that is. So then there won't be a nice little formula suddenly for being needed or not needed or whatever. You know, there won't be a formula then for life. It's total mystery then, when all of the rah whatever stories. So like this here now, this talking and that question. That's, I suppose, that is the miracle. And there isn't a place to get to then, because what would the place be? Just more imaginings. There isn't a thing called life. Where is it like? It's all stories. Sort of just this, and then somehow there's a sort of this sharing or these gatherings, this communication is sort of a mystery, a total, but it exposes the mystery and everything, but it is sort of wonder and whatever is everything is just, all that can really be said is there's just what is or what's happening. But it's not like then these words will suddenly box this happening into something then that can be made sense of. It sort of constantly returns to the total opposite of that. So there just isn't, you know, there isn't Ulrich in there operating, but there are those thoughts, feelings, that curiosity, whatever is.
I'm wondering about what makes this quality of feeling as Ulrich. What's the difference? Because the feeling in this body and the upcoming mind stuff, is that what's happening? And what's made of this me feeling? So,
Well,
and yeah,
I suppose you tell me. It's you that knows about me and everything.
yeah. Obviously, I don't know about that. I can't really explain. It's just it's like it's hard to hear that there is nothing. There's no difference. You know what I mean? There's no difference before and after.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's the end of hope.
Yeah, I can't really grasp it, but this is the me is like it has to do with the me. what I
Well,
said.
it's no.
Yeah.
Well, you see, it's what it appears to be. It's sort of finding it hard to believe, and it's not really about belief. It's nothing to do with belief, but it's what you're describing is the feeling of finding it hard to accept or whatever that that there's no difference and nothing happens. But it's not hard. It's impossible, because seeking doesn't find. Seeking is seeking wholly, completely as it is. So it's then suddenly appearing as that, as if that there,
Yeah.
and that's sort of another way to, you could say, to subtly be alive, but that's a story
Mm.
like, but subtly, but it's not like you were doing that though. It's not like you can
Yeah.
do that or not do that. It's just how it is. It's just it's just what's being described.
Yes, that's what happens is immediately when you say seeking cannot find. This sentence is like it's really a nice sentence. I liked that sentence when I heard it from you the first time. Seeking cannot find, and then I see that that Ulrich says, okay, when seeking stops, everything is okay.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is awaiting the hope of seeking
Oh, yeah,
will
yeah,
end.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
This is you can't get it. This is.
But you see, you can't do that or not do that. That's then how it is hoping for seeking to stop. That's the happening to wait for. And that's seeking as waiting for seeking to stop. It's like hoping for hopelessness.
Yeah.
But like you can't, I mean, you can't do the breathing, the thinking, the feeling. And how can you do the stop seeking? How can you don't know how to start seeking?
Yeah, it's just like a hook in the body. This seeking, like yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it's just it's seeking appearing to happen, and it's not it's seeking with what's being described, and if that is what is being described, then and I suppose this sort of communication just constantly returns to, well, if that's what is, then that's what is. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not getting closer, it's not getting further away. That's this.
And you don't mean anything with this when you say that's it. There's no meaning inside.
Well, I mean, I suppose it seems to be the words that are being used. Doesn't seem like this mouth keeps quiet if it's asked a question, and but we could sit in silence or ring a bell or play guitar together or drink beer and talk about football or eat food or go climbing or roar that this is fucking bullshit or I love this or whatever. It would be simply, totally and completely what is. It includes everything. You can't do it right or wrong. You're just not doing it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I see, Hadar, you've got your hand raised. Go
Yes.
for it.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi. I just, I was hearing this conversation, and so I was just wondering. We are talking about the seeking as like it's like a flu or like a sickness. So how come we can see the seeking as is an external thing to us? And like everybody feels that, like there is like this feeling of the seeking, and there is action are made about the seeking from the seeking, but somehow we can see it. So who is the observer of the seeking?
Well, it's seeking is what's apparently being described, but nobody is doing that either.
because we can see it from a quiet place. Like I can just recognize there is a speaking, that I'm going to go and look for more information, and I'm going to listen, more for more videos, or something is like make me search for something. So I don't know what it is. I just can say I'm looking for something. So what is this place that can say I'm looking for something?
Well, there's just apparently looking for something. That's what is being described. So there's just apparently looking for something. So in your message, you were saying there's the need to hear again and again about the openness. That's just what's being felt. It's not like, it's just that there isn't two. So there isn't anyone in there doing that. You couldn't do it or not do it. It's just how it appears to be then.
It feels like a need. It feels like, when I want to eat, there is a need to eat, and somehow
Yeah.
there is a need to look, and I don't know for what I'm looking. It's just like
Well, there's something,
listen.
yeah, I mean, there is something in these communications that it's not anything to do with anyone, that there's sort of a, you see, if it was just about a few sentences, if it was just about the sentences, oh, there is no self, if it was just about that, then it'd be all over.
Right.
There wouldn't be, it'd be understood, it'd be go, okay, I get you. I know there's no self. I'm going to go off now and do hot yoga or whatever. I'm going to go off and do something else. That would, if it was just about sentences, but really, it's so evidently not about those sentences.
No.
So it's words like resonance are used. I'm not sure I like resonance because it seems like another thing for the person to be able to have. I just love how when these sorts of gatherings happen, it's exposed that really there's nothing on offer, and yet there's a sort of a constant push and pull, and there's a sort of a newness. You could say this is like being bathed in absolutely nothing and washed in it, but it's nothing though, because so that those couple of sentences make this more than it is. Then it's totally just nothing. And but it's wonderful in the sense that because nothing is offered, and the person that believes they're there seeking constantly return, and it's sort of wonderful because it exposes that you're, of course you're not, like, because if you really were, this is the last place you'd be.
So maybe it's like when it's always sunny, so we can see only if we saw always the light, so we will never see the light. Like if it was always, maybe we need this going, like this need for going for retraction and openness. No,
we don't need anything.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
All there is
like
just what's happening. All there is, so there isn't a need. Nothing happens. It's always just wishing that maybe a little something will happen. And that's really, really, this is nothing. Even if it's a tiny, tiny, tiny thing, tiny, minuscule size of a whatever, it's still something. And then there's something to hold on to claim, to own, and definitely something to talk about. Whereas nothing happens.
Okay. If nothing happens, so we have nothing to say anymore.
Apparently saying there's nothing to say anymore is what's happening.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Hi, Marcus. Could just go first. Yeah.
Thank you. I just had an urge to speak on this a bit. Because the whole message is just so devastating. It's almost like I wish I never heard about it. And then, but now that I've heard about it, I want it. So now they're seeking towards this. And then you watch these videos, you go to meetings, and you continually hear that there's nothing to get. And so the devastation just sort of grows and grows. And it becomes crippling in a sense.
Well, it sort of starves that which seeks, or that, sorry, it starves that seeking energy, because it's, in essence, really, it's the seeking movement, you could say, is trying to get something out of nothing, and nothing replies and whatever, says whatever. But and then constantly, when even presented with nothing, it's imagined that nothing is a thing to get out of nothing. So, and it's sort of devastating. And for the fortunately unfortunate few, there seems to be a not able to unhear it either. Some can run 1,000,000 miles, say this is like paint drying and run, and some can whatever, and there's just, but it's, I do remember wanting to unhear this. But that's also just what was happening. So there wasn't anyone doing that. You can't do feeling crippled by this.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
just
is,
happening.
yeah, it is, yeah.
See, I say that, but I have no idea what it means.
Yeah. I have no idea though what it means.
Yeah.
You see, that's the sort of, can be the imagination that suddenly this idiot knows something.
Yeah.
And that's then the imagination, and this voice constantly returns or says there is nothing known. And then that can be imagined as a thing. But that's sort of the and this isn't a place to get to, but that childlike total cluelessness is already the case. It's just, it's imagined still that there is something, I'm missing something. There wouldn't be, he wouldn't be having meetings like this if I wasn't missing something. He must be, he has something to say. There wouldn't be videos on the internet. And as, in a way, it's a sort of a horrible paradox. But also, it's just what's happening then. So appearing to talk about this is what's happening, but really it seems to be earnestly, constantly returning and offering nothing, because there's nothing, and that's already the case there. So it's already over. So we could talk about the football game.
I
Or
find
whatever. Go on, sorry, yeah.
find it very interesting because you're I think the only sort of figure that I've seen anyway that it's sort of caught on tape. I mean, your older videos.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're all there.
Yeah, and it is like it seems so obvious that something has been found from your first video to your latest video, but something happened in between. It's very difficult to accept that nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not difficult, it's impossible. And
Yeah,
really, the best that can be said about that is that there was apparently seeking, apparently making videos and podcasts about this uncompromising communication. And now there's apparently talking about it.
Yeah.
So there was never anyone in there.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It's yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible too. It is
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, it's and it is a sort of, you see, really is probably, you could, there isn't any probably, but it would be better to say absolutely nothing, because, and constantly say, well, it's, you're the one who knows about what this is. You know that it's life. You know that you are you. You know everything, whereas this knows nothing. And that would be the communication. And it probably would be better even to stay silent. But then silence would be objectified, and it would be better that there was no videos on YouTube, but there isn't a better or anything. You see, I used to wonder, well, why are these talking about all of this? But they weren't talking about it, and I wasn't seeking. Oh, this is so, it's wonderfully, beautifully, horribly disappointing. That it's just this.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Disappointment on tap. Oh God. Right. Thank you all. I really enjoyed chatting with you all. It was lovely. I'm definitely going to update the website and call. Nobody rings the telephone number, really. It's rare. But I think if I put no help, the no helpline on it, call at these hours, that will really rocket the calls. Anyway, all right. Have a lovely evening, and thank you all. Take it easy.
Thank you, Frank. It's
Bye.
beautiful.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Frank.
you. Bye.